such.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to be sure before I. So next week, for anyone listening, since we just now went live, we are going to do our Kabbalion book club on Sunday of next week, and that will be. Let's look at the date. What date does that fall on? That will be the 6th of July. So if you're in the inner
I was gonna
circle,
say what day? It's Sunday.
yeah, it's
You
Sunday,
just
the
said it.
6th of July.
Just said it.
And it'll be chapter, what chapter did I say? It was
6, I think.
6. That sounds right. So it'll be over chapter 6. If you're inner circle and you want to jump in that conversation, chapter 6 next Sunday. Or if you're not inner circle, it's a great opportunity to join because better late than never, right?
Well,
So,
anytime you talk about any chapter of the Kabbalion, it all intertwines. So it's any chapter you jump in on, you're gonna be talking about other chapters as well. I
no.
mean, because and I have to say that because I can't talk about it without jumping into other stuff.
Well,
So
we've done
it's
that pretty much the whole time. We'll start talking about one thing, and it
yeah,
it must have been really hard to write this book and really put things in chapters.
my goodness.
Well, even when you're reading it, sometimes it's like, okay, what are they talking about? Because they're like jumping ahead a little bit, or they'll backtrack and talk about other stuff. So I completely understand what you mean. So the point we're trying to make is, even if you haven't been chapters 1 through 5, and it sounds interesting to you, jump in and join in the conversation because we'll tie it all together either way, and it's a great conversation every time.
Yep.
So what's been going on Masonically for everybody? I went,
Installation,
yeah.
installation, installation.
And golden trowels.
Oh
Mm.
yeah, lots of golden trowels.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got to confer golden trowels over the last weekend
Nice.
at Camp San Saba in Brady. It was really really cool, wonderful time.
Sounds like fun, man. It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sounds like a golden time.
it was, and of course it was Camp San Saba, so the food was off the hook.
Very cool.
Oh, like fresh caught?
So fish fry,
Oh,
calf fries,
so it really was off the hook.
a really banging chocolate cake, a wonderful salad to go with it, and as usual, the company was fantastic. They got a great bunch of dudes down there.
That's good, man.
Man, my girls are in Corpus right now, so I've been winging it. I've been doing this on a wing and a prayer, this weekend by myself, and golly, you just made my mouth water talking about that. I might have to go to Dairy Queen after this.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. All I had today was 2 salads and a oatmeal. So
Yeah, I had the same thing. Was just one salad, except I just had one salad.
well, my problem probably is it's not really so much a problem, but I got 3 kids at home, and when they would be at school, now they're home doing this all day long, eating and running around like grabbing snacks. So when it's dinner time, it was kind of a fend for yourselves night. And so when I was looking around, it's like everything's eaten up already. So just finish off the salad, I guess.
Guess you're just gonna have to fall back on Little
You have
Debbie's.
to,
Yeah.
you have to
Well,
go to the exactly. Oh man,
eat, much, eat too many of those, and you look like Big Deborah. I don't want to do
right,
that.
Big
But
Deborah.
on Saturday, I was elevated to the high degree of past master.
Congratulations.
Right on.
I made it.
You're,
One
Whole
of
year.
us.
Woo!
One of
One
us.
of us. Yeah.
Yeah, now my viewpoint's going to finally be taken serious. Oh, you're a past master. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
yeah. Well, I did an installation yesterday. No, Friday. And we have a video coming out pretty soon, probably tomorrow or Tuesday at the latest, about duty and Freemasonry. And I mean, it really inspired me. So I got a few more installations I'm going to be doing. And I'm having that conversation with them before we get started, like a little 5-minute talk about the importance of duty. I don't want to go too much into it because, I mean, watch the episode. It's going to be really good. But I think it resonates well, and it's a timely point in the year to bring that up because of the charges that are being given, and just reminding everybody that we're being installed as officers, and if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, you didn't pay attention because you're told explicitly what you're supposed to do from the monitor, and you're listening and you agree to do it. And if you forget, read the monitor. And if your lodge has extra duties, it's in your rules and regulations. So
Well, and beyond that, I mean, we're told exactly what to do as Masons too, in our obligations. So, it's I don't think anyone has an excuse for not doing what they're supposed to do in Freemasonry. In I don't think anyone has an excuse because we have these guidelines for a very specific reason, because there's a very specific path that Freemasons are supposed to take. And if we're not doing that, then that's all on us.
Speaking of
It's
rules
not
and
on
regulations,
anybody else.
speaking of rules and regulations, you've mentioned several times that you have a really good set of rules and regulations.
Want me to email it to you?
I need you to email it to me. Someone's also asking on
do
the
it
inner circle.
right now,
Please
so I
do.
don't-
Because you're like, yeah, I'll email it to you. I was just pulling it up on my email to see if you send it before I brought it up again. But yeah, someone was asking in the Facebook group too if we had an example of a good copy.
Who was asking?
I can't.
I was.
Who said that?
Jacob.
Jacob. Okay. Yeah, I thought so, but I want to say it without verifying.
Do we have Jacob's email address, right?
No, we don't.
Okay, Jacob, put it in the chat, and I'm fixing to create an email right now. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, I saw that when I was posting the link, and I was like, man, I'm glad he did. I'm glad he said that because I need a good copy of them also.
Anybody else want it when while I'm doing this?
Yeah, go ahead and send one to me if you would, please.
I will.
So while he's working on that, yeah, like I said, the next episode will be up pretty soon, and it's good. It's enjoyable. It's just being Dennis, just having a little back and forth. Yeah, I left that part.
If we try.
Against every fiber of my body telling me that this is not what you want to have in the first 10 seconds of your video, I left it in. So just so everybody can hear what I deal with when we do these things.
Oh my goodness.
And when can we look forward to seeing that?
I was working on it just before I hopped on here, and so tomorrow in the afternoon or evening or Tuesday morning at the latest, it'll be out very soon. It's going to be a two-parter. We're going to experiment with breaking it up, so it's more gives you time to digest and reflect before you move on to the second half. I think what I might do, actually for Inner Circle, I could probably go ahead and just post. I don't know. Do y'all want it split up, or do you want the whole thing and just listen to it in one go on the Inner Circle side of YouTube?
It's probably good to have a break from Dennis every once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely good to have a break from Dennis every once in a while. I try to take a break every chance I get.
Me too. All right. Well,
I got a 45-minute drive for work, and I try to pop in one of those episodes at least once a week, even if it's one of the older reruns.
Well, that's good. This is an hour and a half video, so I'm aiming for 45 minutes. So that would be,
aiming for. That's what we discussed.
I'm aiming.
He's such a. It's me. I'm aiming for. I created. Yeah. You create what I tell you to create, mister. No, we had discussed it, and we thought about that, and on the way to work is when most people listen. On the way home, you're usually talking to family and stuff like that, and so you're trying to line up the evening events, and so most people aren't listening on the way home. So most drives to work are 30, 45 minutes. So it's probably good for us to break it up like that.
Yeah. Makes it more digestible. Spreads it out a little bit more.
That's what we were discussing anyways. We were discussing
it. We had the conversation. So what else is on everybody's mind?
Oh, mine are bylaws, obviously.
I got to witness a brother receive his 50-year award at Silsby Lodge this last Wednesday, and it was actually just happened to be on the same night as the Grand Master's official visit, so he got to present it to him before Lodge opened, and then I got to just be a visitor and sit over on the south side and watch the official visit happen. There was quite a few extra calisthenics up and down on that one. But it was a good time. Great food, good people.
Were there a lot of introductions?
A ton, a ton. They did all the district deputies for the districts, and then all the district deputies at large, and then I'm not 100% on how they split it up. I don't want to say junior officers, but the grand officers came in two separate groups. I guess it was all the honorables, and then the worshipfuls, and then the right worshipfuls, and then Right Worshipful Green was there as well as the Grand Master, and they both came in individually. But yeah, it was just it was neat to watch the group after group after group come in, just at tiny little Silsby Lodge.
That's cool, man. Sounds like
it was really neat.
Experience.
Awesome experience. Yeah.
Nice.
One day when you're able to, it's really cool to see the reception at Holland Lodge. If you can ever get down to Houston, it's usually on a weeknight, right after Grand Lodge, and it's the first official visit of the year that the Grand Master makes. And man, that's a sight to behold, especially if you got a cool upcoming set of district deputy Grand Masters. Then that's when you want to go, because they'll be there in full force as well, and it makes for an awesome event because you just fill up the whole room with it's kind of crazy. One half of the lodge, and it's a huge lodge with just probably 100 chairs in there, and you have one half of the lodge, it's all lodge members, and then you have the other half of the lodge, it's all Grand Lodge members, and it's pretty cool. But
And
to see that,
don't they have that great statue of Anson Jones down in the lobby?
yes, they do. Well, for now they do. They're selling that building, so it's gonna. I'm sure that'll end up going with them. Well, I don't know, because I don't know.
They announced that Grand Master's visit before, when we were having meal. Some of the brothers were talking about it, and they actually sold it, I guess, as of last week.
Yeah, I knew it was coming, and so it will probably be at a different lodge temporarily until they figure out what they're going to do.
Somebody mentioned the shrine building. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that makes sense. It's right close to where they are, anyways. But they're going to have to move further out, and yeah, it's.
I like your decree fees, Dennis. $500 for EA. That's, they're serious if they're paying that.
Yes.
So for the EAs, you require them to attend at least 6 meetings. So is that like visiting before they come in, or like as an EA you have to at least attend?
As an EA, they have to attend at least 6. Because if you remember, we're allowed to decide if somebody moves forward in their different.
Man, delivering education programs. I dig it, dude.
Yeah, and they have been. They've been good.
I like that a lot. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, we've done it with the last round of EAs to masters, misters to masters, and it worked out great. And they're still involved. They're officers of the lodge now, and it's pretty cool.
Creates an expectation.
Well, yeah, because they have an investment.
They're officers. Yes. Well, they're part of this thing. They're not just sitting on the sidelines watching everybody else do everything. They're part of it. That's the big takeaway, is that they have something to contribute, and we want them to know that.
When you say arbitration committee, is that the official Grand Lodge one, or are you talking about like a local one?
Do we really want to talk about all that right here and right now?
Oh, why not? Hey, there's a lot of people that listen that are really interested in having a good set of rules and regulations.
Well, first you want to have arbitration in your lodge
Hmm.
before it ever gets to a Grand Lodge level. So if something occurs, then you want to create your own arbitration committee in your lodge so that you can try and nip it in the bud before it goes any further.
Gotcha.
And if the people can't find resolve that they're looking for, and people can't, say sorry and shake their hands and walk away, then that's then it has to go further. But if not, then keep it in house.
Hmm.
It's always better if you keep your problems in house. Once it goes past your house, once it goes outside your walls, there's no turning back.
You start building a reputation,
Yep,
not the kind you want.
right. And that's what we're trying to recover from because, frankly, before I joined the lodge, there was two occasions, recent occasions before I joined the lodge that um, Grand Lodge talked about coming down and intervening by ways of removal of a charter
Yikes.
because the lodge was just there was mayhem. Now that is in the past, and so we'll just leave it alone. But that's a lot of what made some of this stuff happen. Is past experience, learning from past experiences.
Yeah. No, I just it's kind of like the bylaws, right? There's a lot of lodges that really wanted like a good. I'm not saying this what this is, but they really wanted a good template for bylaws. And I think there's a lot of lodges that would like to have rules and regulations. They just don't know what a good set looks like, what it should include. And
That's a pretty good set right
yeah,
there.
yeah. So that's why I was just asking some general questions about it and just
Yeah, yeah. If you like it, pass it on. You're welcome to. And if you donate $5 to the Dennis Yates Fund, then you can just send me your lodge name and I'll affix it to the actual Word document that I created, and it can be yours
sounds like a deal to me.
in PDF version so that you don't try to copy and replicate on your own.
Just
No,
don't
just kidding.
just don't let them
Still
stamp
sounds
it.
still sounds overpriced.
Just don't let them stamp it. He can't put the stamp on straight.
Yeah, yeah. There's yeah. My talent comes at a cost, and usually it's a negative. But no, that I'm happy to help any lodge I can. That's something that I had talked to a brother about today. I've been asked to speak at another lodge a couple of times, as a matter of fact, and I told him, I said, well, he said, yes, somebody told me that some of you guys you got to ask a year in advance, and so that's why I'm asking because he's not worshipful master yet; he's going into senior warden, and so he wanted to ask ahead of time. And I said, yeah. And just so happens I am a little over a year out right now. And so, but that's what you're going to get with most of the people that travel like I do, especially the ones that travel like I do, where we don't charge to go out and speak. We just go out. That's part of our charity to the craft.
Hmm.
And so I thought I sent it to you as well, Byron.
I'm not seeing it.
Well, everybody else saw it.
Right. So you probably misspelled.
Well, I clicked on the one that I have in my file that has your picture on it. You might want to check your spam.
Don't be so difficult, Dennis. Jeez.
Well, and you're right.
Because I am. You might want to
You're
check your
absolutely
spam
correct,
because I'm
Dennis.
pretty.
It did show up in my spam.
I'm pretty greasy and salty
Holy
at the same
crap.
time.
Well, maybe.
It flagged your Gen X attitude.
Hey,
Oh,
do
hey,
not,
you better watch it there, mister.
Dennis, do not insult spam by comparing yourself to that wonderful product.
Well, yeah, I can see that argument.
So,
But
I,
anyways,
all right,
oh,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No way, Jason.
Go ahead.
No, I just, I did just finish my year at Victory Lodge, and I was actually kind of reflecting on it and trying to think, how were there any big lessons? Were there any, major things that I could pass on, just from my year. And I spoke about this at the installation, kind of as a just a last remarks to everybody. And Victory Lodge is one of the very fortunate lodges. We in over 100 years, we've never had a repeat master. And so, just simply by tradition, there's, we don't expect, I don't ever expect to be a repeat master at some point. But if that tradition was not in place and for some reason I was asked to serve again, I would absolutely 100%, serve as master of Victory Lodge again. Um, and, this year, to be quite honest, and it's going to sound a little bit cocky, but everything went well. We didn't have any issues. There was no big drama. There was no big, problems or anything like that. And it wasn't just because, somehow I magically came in and, made everything good. It
I
had been
agree.
thank you. I appreciate that.
I know
Um,
all the brothers there. I agree. It's not you. It's them.
thank you. No, but in all seriousness, no, it does speak to um, the not only the guys in the lodge, but also the masters that had come before me. That there had been a tradition of, making sure that there was always peace and harmony in the lodge. And ever since I've been there, and I've talked to some of the other past masters, there really hasn't been any major drama or anything like that. Like, we just have had a tradition of just working well with each other. Now, we are in an advantageous position that, we rent from the shrine. So, we don't have some of the bigger issues like, you know, electricity and gas and water and the building and this and that. I mean, so some of that, is understandable. But I've heard of other lodges that are kind of in the same position we are that have major problems, and you're like, over what? Like, what are you doing that is, causing anyway? Um, so, coming into this, so going through this year, um, it kind of went as I expected, and everything just ran smoothly. And there were a couple of extra things that we hadn't done in the past that I was able to get accomplished. We uh, increased our dues, and we had a couple months of a little bit of back and forth discussions and stuff like that. But you know, we were able to do it, and it passed. And honestly, I haven't heard a single word about it. Like, when dues notices went out, everybody paid it, and we just moved on. So, um, but again, it's one of those. If you're, as you're coming up, and you get to master, and you're like, well, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing, and then you haven't been paying attention, because everything that I needed to know, I learned. Obviously I went to 101 and 201, which were good. But most of it I learned by simply watching and observing and being involved in the lodge. So when I got to the East, it was like, all right, well, this is what we do because this is what we've done for several years. These things have worked. I want to try a couple new things, but I'm not here to, you know, flip the lodge on its head and, now I want to do things my way. So, to me, I think that was probably the big lesson is, uh, you know what, if you are in that junior officer position or even on the sidelines thinking about being an officer, the big thing that you can do is just simply pay attention and see what's happening, and you can learn most. And 99% of the ritual you'll learn just by simply not zoning out during opening and closing and actually paying attention. You'll know everything you're supposed to say and everything. So
I would like to say, like, I have to work with a lot of people as they're learning their work and everything, and I'm not saying I think I'm pretty standard as far as people go, right? But I remember when I was going through the chairs and the wardens and everything, it wasn't really hard to learn it because I've been hearing it for years. I think I was a member for 7 years 5 years before I was sat in a warden seat, right? And so it wasn't like a huge deal. But now I'm working with, I've worked with people in the past who I have been in the fraternity as long or longer than I have been, and they're going through the chairs and they don't know what they're saying or what they're doing or anything. It's like, what are you doing when we're opening and closing? Like, you need to pay attention to this. But to your point also, if you're looking towards the east, the best thing you can do, aside from planning your year out, like is like what you're talking about, is actually observing worship masters. And this is where travel is important. Don't just observe your worship master. Travel and see what other lodges are doing. See what they do well. Emulate it. See what you could tell as a visitor, or see whatever you could tell, like, hey, that did not go well, that is not working, and don't do that. And just be sure that you don't do that. Take the good, leave the bad. Treat it like a buffet. And then by the time you're in the East, you should be set. You should have some pretty good practices in your tool belt to implement. So.
Yeah, and I will say, I also had the additional advantage of being a lodge secretary for 5 years as well. So not only was I going up through Victory Lodge, I was on the back end at Guadalupe Lodge dealing with, the actual administrative parts. So when I get to be master of Victory Lodge, like everything I know exactly what the secretary is going to be handing me because that's what I've been doing for. So you're like, okay, well, yeah, you had some additional advances, but ultimately, yeah, you're right. I sat in lodge in Guadalupe and Victory for several years, and of course, have visited other lodges. But yeah, it is a lot of it is just simply paying attention. And you're right. I have seen guys get up there that have been Masons for 10, 15, 20 years, and they act like they have never seen an opening before. You're like, where were you looking? like you had to sit there with your fingers in your ears, your eyes closed, to not have any idea what's going on.
Well, that's the thing. It's not like I was sitting there like just totally enamored by everything everyone's saying, right? I'm paying relative attention.
I hope that's the picture that shows up on YouTube when you go to.
I just know when I first sat in the South, it's like I knew most of it. Like I might have to be prompted one or two times, but it's not like I was sitting there just totally just fascinated by everything going on. Like I'm listening, but it's not like I'm just like dedicating 110% of all my focus at it. So it's not hard to do. I also wanted to say real quick.
Golly,
wanted to say
Justin Jason show tonight.
This isn't a jab by any means at Victory Lodge or anything like that, but I've heard lodges say before that they have never repeated a master, and me personally, it's just my personal Justin's opinion. I don't think that's the flex that a lot of these lodges think it is. I mean, I understand why they would say it, because that implies that they're getting a steady stream of new Masons and that they're the progressive line is moving, but I can't think of any organization that would have a new leader every year and just be consistently going in the direction it needs to go. And like I said, this is not a jab. Like maybe that has been the case for Victory Lodge, but I have heard other lodges say that. And the role of the master and the wardens is so important. And this is why we have stressed many times, like it's not a bad thing to have 2 or 3 year terms or something like that. It gives you time to learn your role and to implement the things you want to implement. And there are several lodges I know of that it's just their standard practice where, hey, we're doing 2 years. You're doing 2 years. That's just we're agreed upon. This is how it's going to go. So I just want to put that out there.
The idea, though, is that the culture of the lodge, it actually provides for that atmosphere of ability. So if the culture of the lodge is to, you just keep the ship steady and keep doing what we like to do, and it's okay to add a few things here and there, just don't overwhelm us because, too much is going to become a burden, and then we're going to, kick back. If the culture of the lodge is that, then it's perfectly healthy to do that throughout, with the lodge, from changing master from year to year. It's perfectly healthy doing that. Yeah, it's only when there's conflict that you shouldn't. You should step back and reconsider what you're doing.
I just feel like past masters should be the exception and not the norm. But go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I think, and I think, when we talk about it, at least the last, and I can only speak to since I've been there. But I did notice that when I first joined, even as an EA, and then became a Master Mason, that it wasn't so much that, yes, they always took it as a point of pride to say that they had never had a repeat master. But what the bigger point was that they were very, very proactive in deciding who was going to be getting into the line. And whoever, even starting off as a junior steward or Tyler or something like that, they saw the entire line as a progressive line, not just, let's just find some people. Like whoever was getting into the officer line, they would be looked at as potentially being master one day. And so I can tell you this year, and it's bad to say kicked out, but we had 2 that were in the line that we encouraged to step out of the line because either because of their ability or their situation was such that they just could not commit to the lodge anymore, and we just were not going to have them continue up the line because we had others that were behind them that were ready and everything like that. So I think I can't speak for other lodges, but I can tell you for Victory Lodge, that to me is kind of where it's a bit of a flex, and honestly, in the grand scheme of things, does it really make a difference? Probably not. But I think more to the point is, when we say that, what we're saying is that, hey, if you're going to be an officer, you're not just filling a spot. We are seeing you as potentially a master of the lodge. And so you're going to, once you get into the officer line, you're going to be evaluated all the way up through. And if you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing or can't commit like you need to, then you're going to be asked to step out of the line.
Well, like I said, I'm just speaking from personal experience. It's not a not a jab by any means. However, if you have a lodge and if they're intentional about who's in the line, like you're talking about, and if they're requiring loyalty for their officers, and if there's like a I don't know what you'd call it, but like you have to attend X amount of meetings to even be considered. I don't know if that's in the rules and regulations Dennis sent me. I didn't get that far. But if it was like, hey, there's a certain kind of expectation as far as participation and attendance.
Right.
If you had these things, I could see it. I could see it working, but
Yeah.
that's not what I've seen. That doesn't mean that that's not impossible. I mean, what you're describing sounds wonderful. I'm just sharing my thoughts because and it's not victory. It's really the first time I think I've heard victory brought up in that context. It's other lodges that they're talking about it, and of course, all they're doing is fundraisers and fish fries and stuff anyway. So it's like,
Right.
And that's the
And I
problem
could,
is that they're not doing Freemasonry. They're doing a bunch of civil service projects that, you know, create a lot of political, flex for individuals that think that they should be head of this or they should be head of that, and it causes conflict within the lodge. When you start doing things that are, external focused, exoteric, and not in esoteric, then that's exactly what you're going to get.
well, and I think if at some point, I don't think we should ever sacrifice um, I guess, the integrity of the office by just putting someone in there just to keep this tradition going. Um, like, uh, we don't get any additional special award because we've never had a repeat master. Um, Although I may put that as a suggestion for next
And
year.
I will make sure, and
Just
I
kidding.
will go up there just like I have in the past,
Just
and
kidding.
I will rally the troops, my friend.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, but no, I think if it came to a point where we were just simply going to put somebody in just to keep some tradition going, that we've never had a repeat match, that I would absolutely be 100% against doing something like that. I think it would be more about let's not get to that point. Let's continue, you know, putting guys in the line who we think potentially could lead this lodge.
Well, I think it's also it's not just putting guys in the line that can do the job or what have you, but it's also, you know, is the lodge willing to put in the work to prepare those brothers? The, it requires real mentorship to develop real Masons. And I'll say that again, and I don't care if anybody says, well, you can't define what a real Mason is. Well, sure I can. I can define that because it's defined in many books throughout the ages. It's defined in in all of the tenets, what what uh what Masonry is, what Freemasonry is. But, you know, if we're investing in our people like we should be, then we won't have the problem down the road.
hey, can we take like a tangent real quick? Because we got a question in the chat, and
You've been taking a tangent.
I'm curious what your thoughts are. There's a
Oh, are you curious about our thoughts?
yeah, there's a gentleman,
Oh, okay.
and he's in Ireland, so
Oh, nice.
not in my wheelhouse, but he is actually going in today for an interview, and his question is, should he wear a suit? And he has never been in the lodge or anything like that, so he does not know really anything about the culture of that lodge. But they haven't stressed anything in like what the requirements are either. So, what are y'all's thoughts?
I would definitely wear a button-up collar shirt and not necessarily a suit, but maybe a sports jacket. That's how I would
So
approach the
my
lodge.
suggestion was go ahead
Is
and
it
wear
a country lodge or a
yeah, what like is it like
or
a
a
big
city
city
lodge?
or out in the like a rural area? I suggested just wear a suit, and if it's too much, take the tie off. Then you're kind of in the same spot like you're talking about. You're just wearing like a coat. Yeah, so I would say if you're like in like Dublin or something, maybe wear a suit. But if you're somewhere really, I don't know, cities in Ireland, but if you're somewhere really rural, then just kind of go with what seems like the norm in the area. But I mean, if you have a suit, it can't hurt you to throw it on. That's just my thought. Me personally, I'd rather be overdressed than and then underdressed. Um,
Yep.
he also
Go ahead, Brian. What do you
I'm
got?
sorry, Byron. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to say I want to go with you on this one, Jason. That if you're okay, there's a certain expectation if you're within a major metropolitan area. Yes, you should wear a suit. Absolutely. Uh, but I I really feel like okay, and I come from a rural lodge background. If I had shown up initially for my interview in a suit, I think it would have been a little more. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe indicative of the seriousness with which I take my present undertaking.
Mm-hmm. I feel the same way.
That's where I'm at on this one. Is if you're going to petition a lodge, you feel strongly enough about masonry that you want to be involved, you need to absolutely put your best physical appearance foot forward and show up dressed as if you are taking this potential obligation seriously. And I don't know a better way to take it seriously than to dress up for it.
Yeah.
Well, there's always that saying, and you can never go wrong with it. Dress for the job you want,
Mm-hmm.
not for the job you have. So if you want something special, then treat it special from the get go, just like Byron said. And that's why I think that no matter which direction you're going, a sports jacket is good, with a collared shirt and a tie if you'd like to, because a lot of European lodges, no matter what they are, unless they're a specific like a specialty lodge, unless they're a specialty lodge, they're going to have their own dress and decor. Whether it's wearing soccer stuff or whatever. I mean, they just have those kinds of themed lodges there. But most of the time, these guys have been around for 200 years longer than we have, and they take it a little more seriously, and it's a little bit more elevated in attire. Yeah. I can assure you.
He says,
yeah, showing up in a ball cap and jeans is probably not going to be appropriate.
He says he wants to join, but he's just scared to ask. He didn't want to feel like an idiot. I would say if they make you feel like an idiot, that's probably not a good lodge anyway. Worldwide, regardless of what country you're in, if they make you, we're supposed to build each other up, and if they tear you down at the gate, then maybe
he wants to ask. Then he needs to ask.
Yeah.
But don't. If you want to do better in life, you have to take the opportunity to do better.
Sure.
You manifest your destiny. Don't let anybody else tell you not to do something. I'm sorry, Justin. I have to disagree.
No, I disagree. I agree with you.
Oh, I thought you said if they make you feel like an idiot. If they make me feel like an idiot, then I'm going to step up my game. I'm going to make sure I come right to the next meeting.
I see what you're saying.
I'm going to read some books. I'm not going to
I just don't
feel like an idiot next time I'm in the room.
I agree with what you're saying. I don't disagree with that, but I think as Masons, if I'm going to, I don't know, I feel like as Masons, a healthy lodge should not make people feel like idiots.
I'm sorry, you're from America. In Europe, things are a lot different.
Maybe so. I'm just pointing out that
in Europe, things are serious. When you have only 30 members in a lodge supporting a building that's 300 years old, they take things a little more seriously.
He also,
sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I mean, it's actually always, at least I don't know. I mean, I don't know the culture of Ireland or anything like that, but generally, what the dress code is in my opinion is always an appropriate question to ask because you simply don't know. And I generally
originally it was a dark suit.
Right. No, I understand, but I'm saying if you truly don't know, then it is quite appropriate to ask on anything Usually, whenever I'm promoting events, I almost always, unless I forget, I almost always put what the dress code is because I know that will be one of the first things that will come in people's mind. Like, okay, is this a formal event? Is this a casual event? And so I usually try and remember that. But if somebody, I appreciate it when somebody calls or asks or emails or something that says, "Hey, I'm coming to this. What's the dress code?" And it's like, "Oh, okay. Well, they care enough that they don't want to show up underdressed. That they care enough and take it serious enough that they're asking the question, "What should I be wearing?"
Mhm.
So he, he probably doesn't have time right now, but I would certainly show up in a suit. And if for some reason they're all in like jeans and polos, and you can just, you can take a tie off real quick or ditch the jacket or
Keep the
leave it
pants
on,
on,
whatever,
though.
yeah.
Unless they're like super casual, I'd keep the pants on.
Yeah, yeah, keep pants on.
Next question is, could you give me tips? Should I buy the guy interviewing me coffee, or should he buy me one? I wouldn't. I mean, if he wants to, fine. But I mean, if they like coffee, I mean, I don't. I wouldn't.
If that's what you would do for somebody else, then do it for them.
Yeah.
I typically offer whenever I'm out with anybody.
Depends on where you're at, like where you're meeting.
But as the interviewer, if I was the interviewer, I would be buying you a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Just because I come from that background that, the higher level person should always buy the lower level person a drink or a meal or whatever. That's just good etiquette.
I mean, it's nice if you walk in with a coffee. It's a nice gesture, but you don't know if they like coffee or not.
Well, if they're going to interview at a place, then you say, "Hey, what are you drinking? Let me get you something."
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk in with a cup of coffee in my hand.
No, I'm saying as the interviewee, if you like come bearing gifts, you don't know what their taste are or anything. I wouldn't do that.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about it as an interviewee, but if that's how you are normally with people, feel free to.
Yeah.
If he doesn't offer first, then go ahead. I mean, that's because I always do. I always offer.
Yeah. No, part of me thinks that I totally lost my train of thought. So,
well, you're talking to a guy that's been reading Mackey, Manly P. Hall, Anderson's Constitutions. I've been reading all that all day. So I have my head in a certain space that
it's normally in a space.
It's definitely in a space
where it's usually at.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have my head in a certain space, and I can tell you that I'm not very wavering right now.
Dennis is the human Ouroboros.
I'm not eating it. If anything, my head might be up my butt, but I'm not eating my butt. You're gross. You're sick.
Sorry, what were you trying to say?
Part of it might be the setting as well, right? If you're, my interviews when I was petitioning the lodge happened at my house. Well, I guess at first it happened at the lodge, right? We got to know some of the brothers, but that was more of an open fellowship. But then the investigation interviews were at home. I don't necessarily think that would be a place for a suit and tie.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Is if it's his interview, or if it's just like a get to know you interview.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
That'd be good to know.
You're right. If it's at home, I wouldn't go all out suit and tie. I'd just have my business casual on, and I'd still look good and
fine.
Yeah, don't show up in your jammies.
Silken bathrobes.
Smoking jacket.
Smoking jacket.
And nothing underneath.
Oh no, but a red Speedo would be appropriate.
That's what makes it smoking. That's what makes it smoking.
It needs to be blue. It's a blue lodge. You want to impress them.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's at
Red
a
if he's going for Scottish Rite.
Okay,
it's at a
man.
pub.
Golly. Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Buy him a pint.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Offer a
That's
pint if he wants it.
shoot, yeah, man. Or Glenlivet.
Yeah.
That's what I would. That's what I would. Or actually, I guess Ireland has your own, favorite drinks, but that's my favorite drink. That's what I would offer.
Yeah, I like the pub atmosphere for something like that. It's very casual.
Yeah, in that instance, it would really go to what kind of pub it is. If it's a higher end place, what are the normal patrons wear? You don't want to walk into a soccer or a football pub and be in a suit and tie, and nobody, you stick out like a sore thumb. So I guess it would really depend on the setting again, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like for a pub, I probably wouldn't go full suit because
We
it's
have
not
our-
a Masonic atmosphere. I would
We
definitely
have
wear
our
a
Knights
coat.
of St. Andrew at a place called the Winchester, and it's a pub, and we full out regalia, suit and everything, black suits, and we have our own room, and you can see through the windows, and everybody sees who we are. In fact, I had a young man ask how to join Freemasonry from that. A fireman asked how to join when they saw us come into the pub.
You reminded me of that movie, Shaun of the Dead, where they meet at the Winchester.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's a great movie.
It
I
was.
love that one.
What's funny is I was watching it and I was like,
That shows our true form.
I was a lot younger and I was watching it at my
Talk a
dad's
good
house.
game.
And my dad's like a Baptist preacher, and he walked up behind me. He's like, "Man, they're sure using a lot of bad language. I don't think I like this movie." And then
Was
10
he
minutes,
Independent Baptist or was he Southern Baptist?
Southern Baptist. And then 10 minutes later, he's sitting there watching the whole thing, laughing with us. So that's how good of a movie it was.
Right.
He says, let's see, that's the Militant Buddha is his name. So I'm so scared, guys, because it means a lot to me as I seek brotherhood, fellowship, and friendship for myself to be a better man and to help others around me.
Cool.
There's a Hermetic saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And the same thing applies. Like when it's that time, when the time is right, the doors will open themselves. And so you just have to. I could tell it's kind of stressing you out, based off your comments. And I would
I
say,
was stressed out with my interviews.
yeah, it's normal to be a little stressed out. I mean, you don't really know what to expect.
I had the county judge, an attorney, and it was a prosecuting attorney, and who was the other? Oh my gosh! Oh, a communication specialist for the government come and do my interviews. Talk about freaked out. I was like, oh man, what are these guys going to find out about me?
But all you can do is just be honest and be authentic.
That was before we knew what cookies were.
Just gotta be your real self. Like I said, I probably wouldn't wear a tie to a pub, me personally. And I would, or you can wear a tie, and if you get in there and like, okay, this guy's in a polo, take your tie off. That's fine.
I'd wear a sports jacket though.
Yeah, I would definitely wear a sports jacket or a coat or something like that. Something.
Yeah,
Something
you can do
nice.
that without a tie
And
and
a button-up shirt.
fit right on in.
Yeah.
Especially if it's after work or something. Everybody,
If I was doing an interview and it was if it was at a pub environment and a guy came in, button-up shirt, sports coat, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would think he was dressed appropriately for what we were doing.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, especially in metro areas, that's the normal attire for young men today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, businessmen go to pubs dressed to the T, and we know someone like that, Jason. Businessmen go to a pub dressed to the ninth, and really, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Young businessmen, that's what they do, and there's nothing. That's the new norm, really, in a metro setting.
And keep in mind also, like I know this is an entirely different country, but I think a lot of things are generally the same. If the interview doesn't go well, if it doesn't hit off, that's not the end all. Like you have options. It might just be like you're not a good fit for that lodge, or it might just be the people you were talking to in particular.
Yeah, you
I
don't
would
know
definitely
how
not
it
give
is over
up,
there.
huh?
You don't want to speak on stuff like that. You don't know how it is over there.
I don't know how it is over there. I'm just saying I would not give up just because an interview didn't go well. If it's important to you,
I think if it's important to you, the interview is going to go fine.
I think
You're
so
gonna
too.
you're gonna do fine, especially if you care as much as what you say. Obviously, you do care, or you wouldn't be asking these questions here on online. And I think that they'll see that sincerity in you, and think you'll be all right.
I agree. Anyway, tangent.
What
I
other
guess.
bad advice do you want to give, Justin?
I don't know. Questioning, telling anybody how to do anything.
Yeah, let's tell everybody just
Got
to
Gen X dad over here grabbing
slum
at me.
down. Let's slum down the fraternity here.
See,
The
the
let's
things I'm
slum down
saying
the
and the things that you
brotherhood.
are hearing are like there's like this disconnect. It might be like a hearing aid issue or
You're
something,
millennial.
but it's
You're
like
millennial. That's what
it's
it
like
is.
I say something and then you like have a retort to it that doesn't sound like you heard anything I said.
It must be all the shit in my ears from having my head up my
I
ass. How's
guess
that?
so. Sometimes they'll say something, you're like, well, that's stupid. I don't think that. That is like, I didn't say that. What are
Well,
you
I'm
talking
gonna
about?
disagree if I disagree. There's stuff that I mean,
I think
no,
you
you didn't
just
say
like,
some of the stuff exactly, but you allude to where it's a little bit more cash
I say
than
exactly
it
what I
could be.
mean. I say
Uh-huh.
exactly what I
Uh-huh.
mean.
Until you want to sit on the fence like the rest of the world.
Okie doke. So, anyone else have anything tonight they want to add?
Man, I'm on a tear today.
You are on
I
something.
I'm definitely on something too because I've been writing and just sitting and sipping and writing all day.
So, I'm so glad Jason published
Been a
his
good
book because
day.
now Dennis is actually going to crack down and finish his.
I know. I was thinking that it's like I told Lavinia that I which I'm not very happy about this signature. I'll just give it to somebody else that you're just a friend and brother to because I had expected something a little bit better than that.
I
But
was
I
I
I
was
bought it in
outside the
advance
I was outside
to
the lodge,
to let
leaning
him
into your
sign it.
truck, trying to write in the truck light.
You're the one who
It's
came
supposed to
out there.
come
I
up,
would have gone and
let
gotten it
some
for
pithy.
you and
See, I didn't even know Jason was writing a book. I know he had given a talk some time ago about Hercules, and then boom, there's a book. Dennis has analysis paralysis.
you
It,
think I have long presentation syndrome. This was his presentation. He just it be,
No, that was not. Okay, are you all interested in how it actually came about?
I think you
sure.
just wanted an
Go
excuse
right
to,
ahead.
to put
Absolutely.
a
Come
Maybe,
on.
maybe
selfie
we'll
on
maybe
the
we'll
book.
move away from the Justin and Dennis, you know, um, girl fight that they're having over there.
Yes, please.
You take it to
So,
arbitration.
so
Yes, yes.
okay, so being a part of the Scottish Rite CME, some of the other esoteric groups that we're in, oftentimes we'll kind of list off things like 12 tribes of Israel, the several liberal arts and sciences, and every once in a while, the 12 labors of Hercules would get mentioned. I was like, so finally, I was like, okay, why do they keep? Because I kind of remember the stories, but there really wasn't much discussion about it. So I was like, all right, let me take a look at this because I want to know why they keep referencing. And I know it has some significance because it's a number 12, and obviously it relates to several other things. Uh, anyway, so I started looking into it, and then the master at Triune Lodge asked me to come give a presentation, and he said, "Well, we're delving more into esoteric topics and stuff." So I was like, "All right." So I did it on the first labor of Hercules, and there was a lot of parallels to a lot of the stuff we teach um, in the master's degree and other aspects of Freemasonry. And it also relates. There's tarot card tie-ins and astrological tie-ins and stuff like that. And so from there, I basically, my initial thought was I was just going to put together, a series of 12 lodge presentations, over the 12 labors. And then as I kept writing more and more, first off, nobody's asking me to come and do a follow-up. So I'm like putting together these presentations. It's like, all right, well, okay, I guess I'm not going to get to do these, but they started really kind of forming a cohesive narrative that I finally was like, this may actually be able to be done as a book. So that's kind of where that's where it all started. And I don't know, I guess it took me about a year and a half, I guess, something like that. And so yeah, now I have the book out. But next month I'm going to start with the introduction next month at Victory Lodge, and then for the next year, I'm going to do all 12 going through. And so I'll have an actual. I'm not just going to like stand up there and read my book. I mean, I'll actually do like a
Chapter
like an
one.
actual like a chapter one. But I'm putting together put an actual presentation together, and so I actually will have, by the end, I'll have
The Cliff
something
Notes. Now
Cliff
that
Notes
one
for-
you can sign for me.
Well,
I already signed one.
Jason, I am proud of you. I've tried writing a book before, and I can tell you it's definitely a Herculean effort. So, congratulations.
That is so wrong.
Thank you.
I know. Yeah. Tun, tun, tun.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's what it more like it. Yes.
Sock it to me.
I'm glad for you, Jason, and I'm pretty excited about the podcast that you're producing for Brad and Chris, called the Masonic Shelf. I love it that we have Masons that are starting to push the emphasis on wisdom and knowledge and books. I was talking to let me look it up so I don't say it incorrectly because it's a long last name. Brother Polychronopoulos. He is Greek, and he is the senior warden at Grey Lodge. And we were talking about they started a book club at Grey Lodge, and he heads that up. And they're fixing to go through. Right now, they're going through Esoterica, which I strongly agree with for any Blue Lodge Mason out there that wants to kind of break into the writings of Pike with the topic that you already somewhat understand since you went through the degrees. But anyways, next they're going to start going through Aristotle and Euclid, all the Plato, all the ancients that really have formulated this world of knowledge that we are still learning today. And I just think it's awesome. I think that it's great to see that so many lodges are doing this today.
So, Morals and Dogma covers the first 3 degrees. Does Esoterica just go into more detail?
Esoterica is more of a Blue Lodge version of the 3 degrees.
So it's just solely focused
In fact, yes. In fact, we're going to do that for a open house for Master Masons at the Scottish Rite. We're going to have a talk about Esoterica on Esoterica with the Phoenix Academy. That's
going to
what.
be it's going to be, by the way, going to be in September, not August
Yes.
like originally. But we're going to push it to September.
Mhm.
Just so you're aware.
Right.
Last fourth Thursday in September.
Right.
Mhm.
The um yeah. So, anyways, we were talking about it, and it was decided that that's what we're gonna do. We were wanting to have some kind of an opportunity, like a meet the brother kind of a thing, with where people interested in the Scottish Rite can come in and talk and see what we're all about. And since we're the University of Freemasonry, we figured that would be a good bridge for the Masonic Brothers of the Blue Lodge, and man, that's exciting. And I can't recommend it enough to any brother out there that may or may not be looking for the opportunity. If you want to know what you're a part of, that's a good place to start.
And speaking of the Phoenix Academy, did y'all see that Chris Williams was online earlier today? I had shared it. He was asked to be on the Sapere Odd lecture series. Y'all heard of those?
Mm.
So there's a group out there that puts on these esoteric lectures, and they asked Chris to come on there and talk about his book, There Is No Texas Without Freemasonry. I believe they are, if they haven't already, they are going to be posting the video from that. But yeah, he was on there, did a good job. The host kind of got the conversation derailed a little bit, but
Hmm.
Chris
Hate it when that happens.
Chris held it together and kind of was able to kind of bring it back. But
You said
yeah,
that's the Phoenix Academy?
Yeah, that's the name of our CME
yes.
Oh, in San
for
Antonio?
Scottish Rite for the San
Gotcha.
Antonio,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
San Antonio Valley.
Understood. Cool. What else y'all got?
Yeah, the new logos are sick. They're awesome. Good job, guys.
Anyone else got anything?
What, you already ready to give up? Throw in the towel?
Well, by the time we get through with our final thoughts, it'd be an hour and a half.
Okay.
I don't want to get yelled at anymore tonight.
Yeah.
This is-
Well, wait. Let's wait and see how your final thoughts go.
Jacob, Jason, Byron, you have anything?
Yeah, just like all the time, you're right. After each of these, I want to thank everybody for, being here, the fellowship, and being able to talk. Dennis, thank you for the rules and regulations. We're going to review those. We're looking at updating ours, and I just wanted to see if we could get a solid set that has been working well and steal all your ideas. But yeah, thanks again, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Happy
for
to
coming
help.
on. Yeah.
And I'd like to go back to the gentleman from Ireland that was asking his questions in preparation for his interview. Brother, go in there, be you, be sincere, dress for your environment. That's the best advice I think I can give. We are supposed to be an inclusive society. We are supposed to be a fraternity that builds ourselves or builds each other up. And if you give these gentlemen the opportunity to do that for you, I see no way that you cannot come out of this a better man. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Jason?
That's all I had to say about that.
Well, I won't add a whole lot tonight. I am glad we got the opportunity to talk about the expectations because I think they apply to anybody. I'm sure somebody's going to listen to this is thinking about joining that might not know really what to do or how to proceed. And I mean, first step's always just finding a lodge that's local and visiting, and then the interview process is its own thing. I would say,
or contacting them.
or contacting them. Yeah, reach out to them on
Yeah,
Facebook or
reach out to
email,
them.
call
Don't
them.
don't just visit it. Just reach out to them
Yeah.
if there's a medium to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I would. Yeah, let me back up. Find a local lodge. Reach out to them.
Come on, give me more ammunition,
Yeah.
Justin, please.
Reach out to them. Well, you're right. Don't just show up one day, because they may not. Honestly, lodge buildings most of the time are empty. And so I would find a local lodge that's interesting to you, find out when they meet, reach out to them, ask them if it's okay to show up, like for their meal or something, or just come say hi sometime. And and start there. I would man, I can't keep my brain on track today. I would also say, like, Freemasonry is different all around the world. And Dennis is absolutely right. Like, in some countries, they take it very seriously, as they should. But I also think that's not an excuse to, like, be a jerk about it. And you should if you have important standards, like if a suit and tie is important, you need to be sure you're communicating that to people before they show up for things. And so that's why I'm like, I would still dress nice, but I probably wouldn't stress about it too much. And it just goes back to the whole making you feel like an idiot comment. Me personally, if my first encounter with a Mason is a negative, if that's the best a lodge has to represent themselves for me, I would probably look for another lodge. Me personally. And Dennis can disagree with me. That's fine, right? I'm in the business of trying to build people up. I'm in the business of trying to help others. And you can't do that by being a jerk all the time. Sometimes you have to be a jerk. Freemasonry is important. What we do is important. We should be solemn. We should take what we do seriously. But I think you have to inform people of those expectations, and they have to be made alert to that. So that's just my thoughts on that. And I certainly wouldn't give up, though. I would not give up. And that's really where I wanted to go with that, was I wouldn't give up, just because if something was to happen that made me feel like an idiot, I would not give up. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to have a very positive experience. I think as long as you're being your authentic self and you're a good person. I mean, I don't know you, but you're a good person. You're being authentic. I think if you're sincere, they'll pick up on that, and things will progress for you, hopefully. That said, thank all of y'all for coming on tonight. I appreciate all of you, and keep it between the points.
That's not your saying. You don't get to do that. You get to just follow suit. Follow suit, kid. Well, I'd like to reiterate that, while we may be our society is one of self-improvement, wisdom, and understanding, but it is also secrecy. And I am not here. I'm not the guy that's going to let everybody in the door that wants to come in. I'm not going to do it. And I'm definitely not going to do it with somebody who doesn't feel like it's important enough to impress me when they come to the door. If you knock on my door and you want my attention, you have to impress me. And I feel the same way when I try to appeal to someone else. I do the same thing. I want to impress them. I want to impress upon them the importance, the sincerity in what I bring to the table and what I'm looking for in my life. And so I expect more from someone who's asking me to join my private organization. This is my private organization that I'm a part of. This is my brotherhood that I'm a part of. And I expect more from you on the outside asking me to join on the inside. Now, I'm sorry if that sounds pompous or whatever, but I have some good stuff to teach you. And so do all the brothers around me. And if you want that, then you got to come a certain way. It's just all there is to it. Now, and I won't make any apologies over that. I won't. Now, granted, there are a lot of people who have joined in the past and who will join in the future for the wrong reasons, and that can be pretentious and things of that nature. However, that's not all that rampant, especially in today's Freemasonry. And so, like Justin said, be authentic. Just, if it's not the right fit, it's just not the right fit. But I'm going to tell you that, unlike here in America, where you have a lodge at every little town there is in America, that's not necessarily the case in overseas. And so you may only have one lodge within 100 miles. That may be your lodge. That may be your opportunity. And so you need to come correct for them, not for how you think they should be. Otherwise, if it's how you think they should be, why are you joining? What do they have to offer you if you think it's how you think they should be? And I'm not just talking to you, brother, or my friend.
I really like that point. I have never considered that, and I really like that. Please continue. I just want to point out I like that a lot. I'm going to keep that in mind for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Please continue.
And my friend, I'm not telling you, I'm not trying to make you nervous or make you more concerned or anything. I am ecstatic that, man, I'm stoked that you're on the show talking about it. Our inner circle, it's not just Masons. Most of the brothers here, or all of the brothers here, are brothers, but some of our members are non-Masons. So if you feel like you'd like to join us and keep up with us with your progress, that'd be awesome. And I'd love to hear, as you go through this journey, you wouldn't be the first person that we've gone through this with. We've got several brothers that are actually still in our inner circle that asked us originally how to do it, and we talked to them, and then they went further and pursued it in their areas, and then all the way from Mister to Master, and now they're on the other side. They're with us still as masters in our inner circle, and that'd be a cool thing to watch in your journey. I'm super stoked that you're watching from Ireland. A lot of people we see who shows up, but a lot of other people don't realize, that some people think we're full of crap when we say, hey, we're worldwide. People listen to us all over, but we're not. We do have people that listen all the time. I get phone calls at 3 a.m. from Australia, and so it's a thing, which is kind of cool. I'm super stoked that you're calling from Ireland. That's where my family roots come from, Scotland and Ireland and northern England. But anyways, I think it's just kind of cool that we got to have that exchange, and I really appreciate all of our brothers and all of their thoughts, and because we all come from different backgrounds, and we all come from different lodges, and we all come from different perspectives in general. We will see things based off of what we already know. We'll perceive it a certain way. Two people can perceive a certain circumstance the same way, and one will pull from it one direction, and one will pull from it the other direction. It's kind of like Justin saying, I said it one way and you took it completely different. Well, yeah, I'm in a certain mindset that not everybody else is in. Everybody else is in that's just Justin. I'm in a mindset that I've been writing this presentation all day. I've been writing this presentation all day, and Justin's here trying to blow it all apart without even knowing it, and I'm not going to let him. Okay. But no, I've actually been writing on the just ancient the thoughts of the ancients today. And but anyways, but I'm so glad that you guys are on. I can't wait until next week when we do our book club, and that's another thing that any member can be a part of is our book club, because we're not talking about Freemasonry necessarily, but the things that Freemasons like to contemplate. One of them being Hermetic principles. Not every Freemason likes to take that deep dive, but we certainly do, and we're having fun with it with our book club. And we're getting close to the end now, so we'll be moving on to something else before too long. Otherwise, installations are just about a wrap. We've got new things around the corner coming up soon for all the lodges out there. I hope that all you brothers out there are listening to people like Jason and paying attention when they say they've had a good year, and they can honestly say it's been smooth, and the reason why is because they're not changing course. They're on the same course. They may be adding a little value here and there to see if it works out, see if the lodge responds to it, just to keep things alive and moving forward, but they're not changing course. And that's what creates success. So if you want that in your lodge, start cultivating it in those early members of the line. And that way it will be so when they get to the same position that you're in. So keep that in mind, brothers, you worshipful masters out there. That's a lot of what the talk I'm giving to that presentation is. I'm working out right now, called The Man, the Ark, and the Worshipful Master. So it's going to be a pretty good one. Otherwise, thank you, brothers. I love you. Keep it between the points. Now you